Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to Chris Allen Recap number 18. Hopefully, to dear God, OBS does not crash on me again, because I've already tried this a separate time and it didn't go so well. But anyway, we're here today to talk about stuff I've been thinking about, that I also conveniently wrote on this Word document so I won't forget it. So, recently, recently a game came out that is also the picture of this video, as you can see here. For those of you who don't know, this is Outriders. And Outriders is a fairly recent, I would like to say, looter shooter FPS kind of game, kind of Borderlands, kind of Gears of War mix, a little bit of Destiny in there, stuff like that. But generally, this would be the game that I'm most interested in. It would be a game that I would kind of play, and I would also play kind of on stream as well. Now, none of you are probably questioning, why have I not played this game? But I'll answer this question anyway. It's because this game, as said by the developers, is not going to be supported post-launch. So I wanted to talk about games as a service, and just my general thoughts on the games going forward and how games are now, and kind of why it's become shitty in my eyes. But anyway, first of all, for those of you who don't know, games as a service. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically when a game comes out and it's either, free to play. Now, this isn't the exact definition, so don't fucking quote me. But it's either free to play with a shit ton of microtransactions and cosmetics, or just little things you could pay for to actually fund the game. Or it's a game that's constantly updated. Think Destiny, where, each season they have a battle pass, and there's a big DLC every year that saves the game from dying just a little bit less each year and brings people back. But anyway, those are games as a service where the game doesn't really have a definitive end. And most games, nowadays at least, are pretty much like this. Now, there's some, outstanding ones that aren't like this, mainly story games that are, one and done. But generally, the way things are going, and the biggest games like Warzone, Fortnite, basically all the BRs, are games as a service as their model. Now, that's how things are. So, Outriders, like I said before, isn't operating with the games as a service. When I heard that Outriders came out, it piqued my interest. I was like, I kind of want to play this. But when I found out that this game has a campaign that's like, 40 to 60 hours and that's it, I was like, ugh. Like, I'm so disinterested now. Back in the day, talk like maybe 5, possibly 10 years ago, it wouldn't have mattered. People would have picked up this game. It probably would have been great. And then, I wouldn't be having this conversation because I was also a kid. But, but I feel like games that are not as games as a service are kind of destined to just fizzle out and die. And obviously, that's their goal. To be played maybe a couple times, maybe more than once, but then they die. But I don't know if it's just because I changed, but I feel like if the game isn't something that's going to get constantly updated and constantly looked at and have constant new things like the other games I play do, what's the point? What's the point of playing it when I have to waste my time somewhere else to grind battle passes and grind this and grind that because I only have so much time in a day? It's weird. It's a weird thing for me. And I was thinking about it, I was like, damn, games really did change. But on the opposite side of things, the other side of games where they're not as a service aren't going away. Like I said, story games. One perfect example of this is Hollow Knight. I cannot suck the dick of Hollow Knight enough. I love that game to death, and I swear to God I'll go back and beat all the DLC on stream. But, don't quote me on that. But, it has an end date. The game will eventually end. You will stop playing it. It won't get any more updates. It's done. Where you can now bring the stupid argument of, oh, but eventually a game like, Fortnite or League of Legends will eventually die. Well, no, duh, everything eventually dies. But the lifespan on it is unknown, and it could technically, well, not technically, it's way longer than any game that's not as a service. That's what I'm trying to basically say. Its lifespan is unknown, not infinite, obviously, because nothing is infinite, but in basic terms, it's basically infinite. They can keep updating it as long as it's profitable, and as long as they want to, which they're going to want to because it's profitable. But, I don't know. I feel like a lot less games now are operating as just, games. Story mode games are just one and done games. And honestly, I don't know if I'm happy or sad about this, because while games as a service is good because you get constantly new content and stuff, I feel like we've been kind of ruined with our taste palettes for games because it's not a Chris Allen recap without bringing up Call of Duty. Look at Call of Duty, right? We expect and we demand content. And while I am pissed, and most of the zombies community is like, I guess, okay with it, but I'm pissed that we have to wait till mid-season 4 to get a new map. We're not owed anything. Technically, we kind of just come into this like make-believe agreement like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy this game, but I'm also gonna really with 90% certainty hope that you release DLC and stuff, which is a big part of the reason I'm buying the game. I'm be honest, if they ever released a Call of Duty Zombies, Treyarch Zombies, and it came out and it only had like one or two maps base and no DLC maps, no zombies like touching and updates ever again after that game released, I'm like way more inclined to never to pick up that game because I do not want to waste $60. Now it's better because, you know, back in the day you needed to pay for the DLC, but it was worth it. And now we wait for free content, which is even better than it's ever been, but we're still going to complain. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like games as a service kind of ruined us because we always expect great content. And then at a certain point, what if the developer just doesn't have any more ideas for the game, or the game just reached the end of its lifespan where like you can't add anything else? Like for League of Legends, right? How hard is it to add a new champion? You have to think of a new champion unique from all the 100 something whatever other champions we have. And then if this game goes 10 years into the future, you know, what else are they going to fucking do? It's going to be so overcomplicated. And like, I just question, at what point do they reach a limit of, okay, it's a game as a service, but we literally, well, you know, they could keep adding garbage, I guess, but at what point can we add actual meaningful good content? And, you know, we're not going to reach that for a very, very long time. But I like to think about the pure limits of stuff. And I was thinking, like, you know, what if they just can't find any new things for League? Like they just can't think of anything because we've almost done everything that's viable and good. It's like, okay, I guess the game becomes shit then, but I don't know. I was just thinking about it. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about for the most part. Let's see what else I have in here. Yeah, just the changing landscape of games being service, games as a service model, them being microtransactioned out of the fucking wazoo, and how that kind of ruins it a little bit. Because look at fucking Ashes of Creation and WoW and all the other MMOs that are putting in all this, not pay to win bullshit, but like really shitty monetization. And it's like, it's kind of ruining the game and people are getting fed up. But in general, I kind of was just wondering, like, are old modeled games, for the most part, because obviously there's going to be like the Proud, the Marines, of like the really good story games such as Hollow Knight, where it's like, yeah, it's a one and done, but it's so massively successful, you'll make money off of it. Like, it's enough to warrant its own fucking sequel, which still isn't fucking out yet. But anyway, one final thought I did have, though, was let's say a game decides to go kind of hybrid old school, right? And more specifically with Ashes of Creation. For those of you who don't know, that's a new MMO coming out. And there's already, like, worries brewing about it being pay to win, because you could buy boosts and stuff that literally have you do better stuff than other players who aren't free to play. Which, back in the day, let's say you released an MMO that all the cosmetics, let's say, you have to earn in-game. Back then, because every other MMO was like that, that's what people were used to. Now, let's say today, the old school MMO players, right? They get on Ashes of Creation and they find out, okay, you can earn some really cool cosmetics, but then there's only some that you could buy and shop that look really fucking cool. They're not going to like it. But on the flip side, and I would agree, I wouldn't like it either. But on the flip side, I thought about this. What if the new school players, who like basically suck at the fucking game because they're either children or, I don't know, whatever the situation is, they suck at the fucking game, right? And they're like, okay, we can't get all these cosmetics, and because we can't get all these cosmetics, and let's just say it was without the cosmetic shop, we can't get any of these cosmetics that look cool, and we have no other way of getting anything because we fucking suck. So we're not going to play the game. We're going to go to a game that actually does sell cosmetics, and we're just going to stay on there. And at that point, Ashes of Creation loses to what I believe to be a huge population of people who might be like that. Now, again, I have no evidence of this, but I feel like that's what it might be like, where most of the population wants to buy cosmetics, and it's only actually like a few hardcore players that don't like the ability to buy cosmetics. They like it only to be earned. And my whole thought process for this is like, If this wasn't the case, why is it implemented in these games, and why are these games making so much money? Why is it continuing to be done if it's not working, right? Now, obviously, players are hating it, and maybe eventually the whole player collective will be like, okay, you know, some of us hate it, some of us don't, but eventually there's so much resentment that a mass drove of players just leave from the base game. And, you know, this is what's happening with WoW, kind of. And you know they have to reevaluate the system. But until then, I feel like this system of like, let's say you want it to be a tried and true old school MMO. Yeah, you're free to play. Okay, maybe you cost a subscription, but you can't buy cosmetics. That is immediately probably a turn off to most people who are just gonna be like, oh, I can't buy any cool cosmetics in this game, and I suck too much or don't have the time to play to actually earn the good cosmetics. Let me go on an MMO that I can buy a cosmetic for, because that's why I play the game, for cosmetics. That's what I was thinking. Like, are also games that don't have this new shitty model also doomed to fail? For at least Ashes of Creation's case, where maybe the reason they're doing the shitty stuff that the community, or at least the hardcore community, is complaining about. What if they need to do that to at least make a living? And if they don't, the game just dies monetarily. I don't know. These are things I'm thinking of. They don't have really hard hitting like answers, and it's just speculation. But it was my speculation. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. A little bit of a weird one. Hope my thoughts came out as coherent as always. I'm out of here. I'm gonna eat my dinner and relax as I recover from my second COVID shot, which is killing my fucking arm. Bye, baby.